them an opportunity to execute on Saturday. And I think as coaches, control what you can control, and that's something right now is, I just think anytime that times get tough and like that, it's like, man, you go to action, right? Go to action, go take care of what you can take care of, and do everything you can, put those guys in a position to succeed.
You guys 4 years to get a winning season at Oregon State. Is that a reminder that it takes time sometimes for these rebuilds to really coalesce into something that when fans want to see wins immediately, right? Like sometimes. Yeah,
and it's the college football and with the transfer portal and all that, it's changed since then, and so the expectation is that some of that stuff with being able to get players and that make some of those transactions, kind of, if you will, it's right that you want to expect results a little bit quicker, and I think that's just how college football's changed in the last couple of years.
Did Kurt Signetti and his success in Indiana last season speed up that clock a little bit? Like, I feel like he's the poster child example of a guy who comes in and it's like an immediate switch flip.
No, they did a great job, and I think they brought a large number of guys from James Madison with them, and that knew their system and knew their culture. We didn't bring quite as many from Oregon State with us, and kind of came in and looked at the current roster and worked with them and tried to get some guys through the transfer portal. Took a little bit different angle. Not saying that's one's right or wrong, but he's done a great job, and I think that people are studying a little bit as he took over that thing of what he did to get it turned around so quickly.
Do you have to, because of the changes in the dynamics and all this, do you have to do a better job or a deeper job, I guess, maybe of insulating the players from hearing some of the noise, or how do you do that?
Yeah, it's challenging with the social media, and the guys are locked onto their they're on that quite a bit, and I think Coach Smith does a really good job throughout training camp of like, hey, this is making them aware of it, aware of the factors that can break up a team, and draw guys apart, and being aware of that noise, and then bringing our focus back to the things that we can control, and the guys in this building are the things that really truly matter to us, is getting that focus back, to going back to work at practice and try to focus on getting better, to go out and get it turned around.
When you go back to the 4th and 1 or 4th and inches,
Yeah.
34-yard line, and obviously they make the call to go for it. From what we understood, it was originally going to be a sneak, and then it gets checked into some. What you saw defensively that obviously Aiden checked out of that, it appeared.
Yeah.
And what you're thinking is that's all going down in the thought process and calling that.
Yeah, no, the week before at Nebraska, I think we converted on 2 or 3 quarterback sneaks. It's been one of the strengths of what we did. We went into the game knowing that they'd probably have a plan. So kind of anticipating that, if they were going to load up to take away the quarterback sneak, then, we had something that we felt like would take advantage of that look. And Aiden really got us to the plan, to what we wanted to get to there, and we just didn't do a good enough job of executing the blocks at the point of attack. So, I think the thought process was right. That wasn't the great look for the sneak. We had a good opportunity to put the ball on the perimeter, versus that look when they were all loaded up, and we didn't execute the block at the point of attack, and that's something we got to do a better job as coaches of getting our guys dialed in to be able to execute that block.
In the event that Aiden can't play this week, I know Jonathan mentioned that he's made up and it's an evaluation at the end of the week, but in the event that he can't play and it's Alessio's first start, it's a pretty tough defense he's getting a crack against in Indiana. Do you think he's ready for that challenge?
Yeah, I think he'd be excited for it. It's an awesome opportunity to go on the road and play a top 5 team. And Alessio, we've got a lot of trust in him, and I think it's definitely going to be a challenge. That defense gives you a ton of different looks in the secondary. They're super active up front, and they went on the road to Autzen and held the Ducks, I think, to 13 points. Their offense scored, so. It would be a challenging game, but I think an opportunity that he would welcome, and I think that he would be excited for the opportunity to go on the road and play a top team and showcase what he can do.
You guys have had a lot of success on first drive. I think 5 touchdowns in 6 games. So what is there to that? I assume that's a lot of scripted stuff, but is there anything you can build off of that to take the rest of the game to keep that?
Yeah. I think we put a lot of, go through those openers a number of times, and the guys have done a nice job for the most part, just going out and executing and starting the game fast, and it's something that we've got to just continue to build on, though. I mean, you know, the last couple games, it's like, man, so there's been some stalls and some 3-and-outs there that we put the defense in some bad positions.
When Jonathan talks about like simplifying, somebody mentioned yesterday, sort of a result of the Sunday meetings and whatnot, like what does that look like, and is that necessary, and how do you go about, you know, what is it actually?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a lack of execution as coaches, you're going back and why is that? Are the guys, you know, thinking too much? Are we putting too much on their plate that way? And I think you're always kind of challenging yourself to look at that. So I think, yeah, we did, you know, I think on both sides of the ball, pull back a little bit, you know, and keep it a little bit simpler to where you feel like, hey, these guys have got banked reps at these core concepts. They can go out and they can play fast and execute, and they're not thinking so much. And I think that was something that we talked about as a staff doing, and we probably implement a little bit this week on both sides.
You were watching the game film as an offensive unit on Sunday.
Yeah.
Did you like what you got out of that? How different?
Yeah.
What are the different dynamics, I guess? That come
Yeah, no, usually I kind of come in and give my thoughts, and then, you know, some plays that we need to fix, or some points of emphasis, and then, you know, I'm showing some plays of guys doing it right and what it looks like. And we stayed in there and watched a little bit more of like each drive, not necessarily the full game, but the drive, and then what made the drive work, what some of the big plays that we made or conversions that we got, and then also like what forced us the drive to stop, you know, and it really was multiple positions, you know, so it was, I think it was good that everybody was in the room. They were hearing the different position coaches making the coaching points to their position group, and I think it was, you know, kind of the reason was, man, we're trying to have an awareness that like, and let guys see like, hey, this stuff's getting coached. This is, you know, and also like, hey, I'm got to take a little bit of accountability to this, you know, and ownership, and we've got to tighten some of those things up, and it's the reason that we just, you know, haven't been able to score as much the last couple of weeks.
Was there any thought to giving Leo a series at the end of that UCLA game on Saturday, just in case he has to be the 2 this week?
Yeah, I think we, you know, that wasn't necessarily discussed. I think Leo would be ready if we would put him in there. Looking back at it, that would have been, you know, something that I think would have been good. It's always nice to get a young guy a little taste of action before maybe he's forced into action at some point. But Leo will be ready. We like Leo, but no, that wasn't talked about.
How much was last year maybe particularly the style of quarterback that he is with getting out, running, and taking some of those hits, to have a quarterback play all 12 games that has that style?
You're saying just being able to play?
Yeah,
Oh.
be able to play through 12 games and not have to go to the backup.
Yeah, and I mean, last year we ran him, but we also, you know, there was, you know, we probably didn't run him as much as you would like to sometimes with his athleticism. And I think also as a quarterback, we talk to him and show him examples about how when you get out there, how to protect yourself, where to run off the blocks, and fit to where you're not exposing yourself to take some good hits. And you know, he cut back late against the grain, and that's something that, you know, is going to get you in trouble. And you know, unfortunately, it took him out of the game.
I didn't realize this until I talked to his high school coach. Crashawn McCray had one FBS offer coming out of high school, and he's running into a pretty adequate wide receiver. I guess in terms of, we always hear with the transfer portal year, like guys are bailing on smaller programs, and we always hear about the negatives, but the success story he's had to be able to get to the Big Ten and be a contributor, what does that say about, I guess, the current landscape of college football, that a guy can go do that?
Yeah, I mean, as frustrating it is, I think, for some of the guys that are coaching at that level, I think for the players, it's something to work for. I mean, those guys have the dream of playing at this level, and it gives them something where, man, I wasn't able to achieve that, or I felt like I got overlooked. Those guys have a chip on their shoulder, they go to work and they produce, and then you know, they can get an opportunity down the line. I do think that for the player, I think that's a pretty cool thing, and it's been awesome. Krishan's a great kid, awesome competitor, and he's done a heck of a job for us. We got to continue to keep finding ways to get him involved.
He runs like a running back, doesn't he? Like with the way he's just...
Yeah, he's dynamic with the ball in his hands, and yeah, he's had an awesome attitude, and he's really done a nice job of blocking for us too. And I know that can be tough sometimes as a receiver. You're not getting the rock as much as you want, and sometimes those guys tend to kind of go in the tank and let the blocking and all that slip. And Krishan hasn't done that at all, and I respect that
How
from
do
him.
you sustain I think 15 targets was a career high for Nick. How do you kind of sustain that, particularly if it's not coming from 8?
No, I think it's there was definitely a focus last week of that, like there is every week, and I think it was awesome last week to get Nick back full time at practice, where we knew, hey man, he's gonna be going every rep. I think going into the USC and Nebraska game, he was very limited. We didn't know if he was gonna be out there the whole time, so it was like, well, do we move him around and do all this stuff if we're not sure he's gonna be out there every play? This week, this last week, we knew he was gonna be out there. And really tried to get him involved. And then sometimes, I mean, that can fluctuate. I mean, it's really designed like that every week to try to get him that many. And sometimes defenses, they study the film too, and they'll take him away as the first read and force you to go back to 2 or 3. And sometimes the ball doesn't end up going initially where you had planned based on what the defense does. And that can be frustrating as a coordinator because you're like trying to get him. But we tried to give him a fly sweep, give him some touches early in the game, and I thought he did a nice job, made some plays, and we'd love to see more of that going forward.
Is he seeing more attention this year than he did towards the end of last year after those couple big games?
Yeah, definitely this year. I mean, I think teams definitely have with what he's put on film last season and earlier this year, they've definitely put a focus on him.
Well, Mari's work rate is sort of, looks like it's wrong work, but the targets have gone down a little bit in his production. Is he healthy? Is he, the team's taking him away too? It seems harder to take 2 guys away. What's sort of the...
No, they're not necessarily taken away. And I think Amari is, he's I would say, kind of mid-season healthy.
Okay.
But he's battled through it, and no, I mean, I think he had 5 or 6 targets. I felt like he had some opportunities, that he would tell you, man, I got to be a little bit better in man coverage, going to separate. But Amari's a really good player, and he's someone that we want to try to find with the ball. And for whatever reason, last game, it ended up, the ball ended up finding Nick's direction a little bit more than Amari's. And, I just think per game that, like I said, it will fluctuate a little bit. But we really like Amari, and if people are going to load up against Nick, then Amari's going to get a lot of touches. And our Z position in the past has really, been the spot where the ball ends up the most.
How much did that, he had that obvious, it looked like it could have been a walk-in, but how much did that maybe affect the second half momentum for you guys? They missed them deep on that throw. He hits it, I don't know what happened on the throw either.
Early in the first half or
Early in the second half, when he had him wide on the left and kind of went up.
Yeah, there were, it was pretty frustrating from that standpoint, as we felt like we had some opportunities on 3rd down and whatnot, that some throws that Aiden would love to have back that we missed. And then there were some other opportunities where it was like, man, the first read was covered, and we kind of forced the first read, and then the second read's coming that was open. And that's, a play that Aiden, going his second year as a starter, we expect him to make, and he kind of took ownership of Sunday. That we got to make going forward. And then there were some other ones where, Aiden is going to the right spot with the ball, and UCLA, we knew they were going to play a lot of man coverage, and we're just not disciplined with our technique to create separation at the top of the route. And they're able to break it up, and we're not able to get a hit there. So it was just the details of the passing game and getting everybody to execute their job at a high level or something on Saturday that we just didn't do at a high enough level.
We're good with a couple more, Stephen. What do you think the hiccups have been in the passing game the last couple of weeks? How you get it back to looking more like the USC, Boston College type of days?
Well, I think the Nebraska game was a little bit unique. The pressure that those guys created with their front, and I think Aiden got he got hit a little bit early, and then the rest of the game was a little bit, and when protection was good, he was kind of seeing his first read and leaving the pocket a little bit too early. Last game, I did think the protection as a whole, was one of the better games. We were getting the ball out quicker. We knew we were going to see a lot of man, and like I said, it was like, man, we missed some throws, and then when we were in the right spot with the ball, we just weren't creating that separation versus the man coverage, and that was just, in that game, to me, was the frustrating part of things that we got to iron out the details to where we can be better, because I felt like we left a lot out there.
Last summer, I remember after the Rutgers game last year, it was pretty frustrating with, not to say attendance, but just the general energy around Sparta Stadium at the end of that game. As far as the way the season's gone, 3 losses, you see people sort of unplug from the football season. What is the pitch for people to keep hanging on to this team, keep supporting this team and this program right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can't, I can't blame them sometimes, because like, man, I want to come watch people score points and execute and have fun, and when they're going 3 and out and not doing it, shoot, I mean, it's, you know, everybody likes a winner and wants to go have guys' success. But I do think it's like, man, I think you got a good coaching staff in here, you got a good group of players, and we've shown that we're capable of executing and playing a fun brand of football and going to win games, and it just hasn't been consistently at a high enough level, and that's something that we got to fix. And I do think I believe in the players that we've got here, I believe in the coaches, and you know, we've got to just do it at a more consistent level.
Thanks, Coach.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brian.